Welcome in, everybody, to the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Muzio, and tonight we're going to be doing a live FFWC SuperFlex Bowl draft. Stick around. The draft's about to begin. We'll get started.
Nothing but time, use it to grind. They huff and they puff it, this bacon is mine. Stakes are all high, your stakes are so dry. As rare as they come, put it all on the line. Losing very doubtful, cause I'm winning every outcome. I'm impressed by his guess, there's no reason to guess. Drafting like I won the lotto, but it's grind every day. Managing teams is just part of the game. Free agents, lineups, they all in one place. This is the content, they can't be replaced. Speaking of place, first is the option. Win is the goal and I do it real often. Tournament entries, I already bought them. I bury the field, that's the nail in the coffin. Checking my watch, checking my clock. Grind is the time, I ain't never gonna stop. Digital, analog, never gonna stop. You ain't never gonna stop, I ain't never gonna stop. Checking my watch, checking my clock. Grind is the time, I ain't never gonna stop. Digital, analog, never gonna stop. You ain't never gonna stop, I ain't never gonna stop. Cause it's grind time, let's go.
All right, it's grind time. We are doing another SuperFlex Bowl draft tonight on the FFWC. I am drafting from the 7 spot. The draft has just kicked off, so let me get the share screen up and going. And the board pulled up, and I'll zoom in a little bit. All right, so first pick off the board is Josh Allen tonight. I'm going to be doing a little bit different build tonight. I've had, now this is I think my 6th or 7th draft in the SuperFlex Bowl, and I want to make sure that I'm starting to get some different looking teams because, as you can tell, quarterbacks go early and often in the SuperFlex Bowl, so I'm going to be taking a different approach tonight. I'm going to be going a more unconventional route in Superflex and see how the team turns out. But I want to make sure that I am diversifying my portfolio this evening and want to make sure that I am going to be getting some players that I don't have a lot of exposure to. After you start to see about 5, 6, 7 drafts, you can start to look at your exposure a little bit more in detailed. And you can see how much you have of one quarterback or 2 quarterbacks, or how much you have of running back position, wide receiver position, tight end position, you name it. And you can start to make sure that you're taking other players that are similar in ADP in those areas, or you can just kind of go rogue and take whoever you wish just to make sure that you're getting the players that you want. That being said, tonight is going to be a diversification draft, so I'm going to be going off the rails a little bit, I should say. So any questions or comments? I'm alone tonight, so I would appreciate any engagement this evening, so that way you can get your questions answered. It can be rankings related. It can be schedule related. I am here. I'm open and honest for all questions this evening, and make sure we get all those addressed tonight. Scott says Superflex Friday. That is right. And as I said last night on the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast, a reminder, we have 4 days left for May Madness, the FFWC, and all it takes is a $200 deposit, and that's any time during the month of May, and you'll be automatically entered into the May Madness giveaways, which are 1 in 20 shots at a completely free team. That's right, a free team. 1 in 20 is a pretty damn good odds. And the first team that you purchase is $1,825, and then your second team you save $175 with it's going to be $1,650, all the way down to your 5th team at $1,525, and then you have that down to your 10th team, which is going to be $1,425 a team, which is a savings of $2,425 if you do purchase 10 teams or more. That discount ends on the 31st, so that you have until Tuesday, till I think midnight Pacific time. So that gives you 4 days left to get in for May Madness. And again, 1 in 20 teams have a shot at winning a completely free team. Looks like I am on the clock right now. So the first few picks, we had Josh Allen went to the 1, Herbert 2, Mahomes 3, Taylor 4, Jackson 5, McCaffrey 6. Am I counting right? Dak Prescott, and I'm on the clock right now. And I am going to be taking, like I said, a unconventional approach. And I'm going to be owning, where is he? There he is. Justin Jefferson first tonight. Looks like we have some questions. Let's see what Stats Guru says. Looking forward to the wild and wacky happens. Over or under for quarterbacks this round? Well, we're already through. I should have asked this question first. Normally we set the line at 9. I'm going to take the under tonight because I just took a non-quarterback. If you are the one pick, how many QBs do you expect picked by 212 if you dare pass on a QB? Well, on these last few drafts, we have seen on average 9 quarterbacks go in the first round. We have then seen upwards of 7 to 8 go in round 2. So that leaves you with 16, 17 quarterbacks roughly going in the first 2 rounds. So you're able to, you're definitely picking from tier 2 quarterbacks, and maybe into tier 3 if there's a run. So, I've definitely seen worse, and I think it depends on how many you're doing of these. If you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably not recommended. But if you are drafting 18 of these with a max pack, I think you can take those stabs. I really do, because you can get pretty creative in these builds. And a reminder for those of you who have not purchased max packs, I've seen a lot of these very similar names in these drafts. So if you have not done so already, make sure to go buy your max pack. It's only 18 teams, and you get a VIP entrance into the party in Vegas if you are drafting in person, which is going to be nice for all of us to get together, have some drinks, hang out, and get to know each other. So make sure to head on over, get those max packs. Only $900 for a max pack. If you've already purchased some teams, I'm sure Scott will get that adjusted for you, so that way you can get the remaining teams in that max pack. We hear Anthony says that he did not draft a QB until the 5th round in a slow draft. How'd that turn out for him? Curious. Who are your 2 quarterbacks or your 3 quarterbacks? If you could answer, that'd be fantastic. Okay, I'm coming back around the clock. How many FFWC newbies on tonight's draft? Let me take a look at the names again. We have There's definitely a diverse set of names in here tonight. Not the regulars for the past 4 or 5 weeks. So a lot of new names in the draft room. Abe here, the world champ, is playing tonight. He filled in for Chad in emergency last year, and then took down the grand prize, which was a great story. If you have not heard that, there's a podcast on the Full Time Fantasy Podcast that interviewing him and his strategy and kind of the story behind it and how his good karma led to him winning first place. So it's a fantastic story. If you have not seen it, head on over to the full-time channel that you're on right now, and you can take a look at that interview with Abe. That's going to be, I think, about a couple months back. All right, let's see here. Jose is on the clock. Team Penna, thank you, Jose, for joining. I think you're the last team to fill this bad boy tonight. Let's pull the board back up. So first round, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks went. Chase Cup at the turn. Rodgers and Murray went next. I'm on the clock now, it appears. Let's go ahead and take... Nope, wrong one. I already have him selected. There he is. I'm going to take my boy, Austin Eckler. Everyone knows I love Austin Eckler. Okay. So we have 2 teams so far with 0 quarterbacks, the 12 hole, myself. We'll see what they do as we come up. But so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 quarterbacks selected through the middle of the second round. And this is probably the least amount of quarterbacks that we have seen go in a SuperFlex draft so far over here at the FFWC. What do you think, Roy? You've watched them all with me. Is this the least amount so far? Statsker says Team Fields, your friend Jeffrey. I don't know what that means. All right, let's see here. And he said yes, it is the least. So that confirms my suspicions. We have definitely seen a lot more red in the first 5, 6 SuperFlex Bowl drafts. And the whole clock. There we go. There it is. Wow, another team with no quarterback. So McCaffrey and Harris. And then we got Mo Isley on the clock now as well. 9 was the previous low. Okay. 8 is now the new low. Thank you for the stats guru. Hitting us with the stats. Tom Brady, there we go. There's another name. I took him at the 2-1 in a slow draft that started this week. I was able to start with Brady and with Murray. So that was a pretty fun start. I had no intention of taking 2 quarterbacks that early that draft. Anthony says from earlier, so just as a reminder, he said he didn't draft a quarterback until round 5 in a slow draft. I asked who his quarterbacks were. He started with, he got Goff, Mack, and then Donald Coral. So salvageable. It's definitely salvageable. The beginning of his draft, I'm curious. Post the beginning of draft. I'd love to hear it, see it. So looking at the board here, let's take a look as well as we have. So we just updated. Let me pull it up real quick as we're talking about that, because I think this is a really cool tool, and I can remove the sharing 1 second, and we'll share the other screen. If you guys have not seen this yet, this is a really cool tool. So this is now newly updated over at the Full-Time Fantasy site, and this is strength of schedule kind of laid out for everybody. And you can see exactly color coordinated, so it makes it really easy. Strength of schedule, and you can do, the full season here, 1 through 18, and you can see who has the easiest strength of schedule by position. So quarterback, of course, running back, wide receiver, of course, tight end, of course, is next. If you have IDP leagues, you can go through IDP, but the one that I really like to look at when I'm doing fantasy football, especially when I'm drafting in tournaments, is the week 15 through 17. So this is our shootout weeks, right? This is when the money is on the lines, and we're going for that grand prize in the World Championship, or in this case, in the SuperFlex Bowl, we are going to be drafting to make the tournament, and then it's a 3-week shootout, no pass through, 3-week shootout, total points. And this is where you want to look at weeks 15 through 17. And so we can see quarterback here. New York Giants have the easiest schedule in the shootout. Cleveland has the second. Seattle, San Francisco, and then Carolina. And we take a look at running backs. Right, running backs, we have the Jets, Jacksonville, Kansas City, SF, and Indianapolis. Let's take a look at wide receiver. Wide receiver, we have the Giants, Houston, the Chargers, Green Bay, Atlanta. And then lastly, of course, the tight end position, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, New England, Tennessee, and the New York Jets. So really cool tool. If you have not seen it, I just bookmark it. I also shared on Twitter if you want a direct link real quick to it. And it's just going to be the fulltimefantasy.com/football/strength of schedule. And that'll give you this little cheat sheet here, which is nice because you can bounce back and forth and you can see exactly the matchups and who they're playing. And I have a spreadsheet that has all the matchups on them, and it shows exactly who they're playing. But that's a nice little quick overview, right? You look at San Francisco, who was listed on there quite a bit, and their schedule, week 15 is the Seahawks, week 16 is Washington, week 17 is the Raiders. We saw the Jets name on there a few times. We saw the Giants names on there a few times. The Giants are facing Washington, Vikings, and Colts. The Jets are facing Detroit, Jaguars, and Seahawks. So a lot of benefits to knowing strength of schedule, especially in the drafting world, when you're able to gain every edge of competition that you can, or should every edge to get that edge on the competition is what I meant to say, in order to better your team and outperform them when it matters most. All right. Answer to his first 4 picks before he drafted a quarterback. He had one spot. He drafted Taylor, Diggs, Cook, and Keenan Allen. That's a scary start. So if you could hit those quarterbacks, that's going to be deadly and very hard to beat. First team with 3 quarterbacks, 9 route here from the 3 hole. Took Mahomes, Watson, and Cousins. So that's the first 3 quarterback build. And then we have quite a few double quarterback builds so far. Good evening, Famous Jay. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. Just do another FFWC live draft. We got our beer. We got our draft boards. We got our cheat sheets. Let me pull back up the board now. I can close this out. Share screen. There we go. Board's back up for everybody. Looks like I'm about 4 picks away. Let me go ahead and take a look at who's in here still. Lots of good names. Take a look at the quarterbacks. So you guys can snipe me. I'm not going to throw anyone in there because that's what you guys do best, to snipe me once I throw them in the queue. Yes, thanks, Jeff. I had the strength of schedule pulled up. We're back on the board now, right now. Boom. Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit again. That doesn't show us the full. That's as best as I can get it. So board there. So we already went through the first round. Cue the snipers. That's right. Second round started off with Kupp, Rodgers, Murray, Wilson. I took Eckler in the second round. Travis Kelce went after that. Najee Harris, then Tom Brady, Derek Carr, Watson, Henry, and Diggs. And then on the 3 turn, Lamb went, Cook, Cousins, Mixon, Adams, Winston, and Fournette. And I am now on the clock. Okay. And I think I got to do it. Take a look. Yeah, I'm going to take my boy I like. Okay. Again, like I said, I'm going to go an unconventional route tonight. Everybody hit that like button, please. Help get the algorithm to recommend us. Yes, the algorithm is very important on YouTube. Give it a like. Make sure you subscribe. Turn on notifications. You'll be notified when we go live as well. If you miss any of the notifications in Discord. And that gives the channel a lot of help and support. So appreciate all of you tuning in tonight. Appreciate all of your support. Let's take a look at the board. I want to talk about some ADP. So I've been seeing this trend lately. Fournette continues to climb up boards, and I have him pretty high in my rankings. I have DeAndre Swift pretty high in my rankings, and I've gone back and forth with these, but I think eventually Fournette will end up passing DeAndre Swift on my rankings just because we look at what he did down the stretch, and we look at his usage in the passing game. And yes, they drafted White, which is probably going to eat into that a little bit, but Fournette is a very trusted target here for Tampa Bay, and he's been, the proven workhorse on the ground. Tom Brady is always moving the chains. Fournette's going to get his opportunities. So as much as I like Swift and as much as I love his upside, and he's arguably the best pass catching running back in the league at this point, I still think Fournette is going to have a lot more touchdown upside than Swift. And I've been going back and forth in my rankings, and you can see those preliminary rankings over at the Full-Time Fantasy channel. Jody and I, or Full-Time Fantasy page, I should say. Jody and I went through some preliminary rankings and posted them inside of the article section. We're still working out projections for the actual rankings at the top that you can customize to your individual leagues and your scoring systems, but at least gives you something to work off of right now for rankings. And that's the collaboration between myself and Jody Smith, who has been one of the industry's most accurate rankers and projections in the industry for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Jody is very bright and sharp when it comes to projections. But together we have been collaborating and, of course, bumping heads because I love me some running backs, but we have been collaborating and moving players up and down the board based on each other's feedback. So if you have not seen that, head on over to fulltimefantasy.com and you can take a look at those rankings inside the pages, which is going to be a great help, especially as drafting season continues to approach. I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. A reminder, May Madness ends on the 31st. That's going to be 4 days. Last chance at the most discounted price that you can get for your World Championship teams. So make sure to get those in. It's only a deposit is the only thing that's required at the time. So May 31st is the date. Last night we gave away a Javonte Williams card, as we talked about May Madness on the Full-Time Fantasy Pod. All right, let's catch up and see. No questions. Anybody have any questions tonight? Players you want me to talk about, discussions? Is there a certain player that you have any interest in or question marks or maybe concerns about? I would love to answer them tonight. I'm flying solo tonight, and I'd love all the interactions we can get to make sure I'm engaging with you and getting all those questions answered. So I'm on deck. So 27 seconds. Let me take a look here. And all the tight ends are still on the board except for Kelce. Quarterbacks are still quite a bit. Running backs. still a decent amount. And wide receivers, decent amount. Okay. Okay, 38 seconds. I see your question, Jeff. I'll get to that in 1 second. Let me just make my pick. I'm taking a look at some schedules real quick. And we have the Chargers. Chargers are facing Titans, Colts, and Rams. Okay. Minnesota. Just take Mike Evans here. I was going to look for a correlation, but I like him too much to pass on him. Why did it not? There we did it. There it goes. Okay. First question we have is, what is your take on Kelce? Is he really worth a pick 2 or a round 2 pick or more than any other tight end? Kelce, for me, is my tight end 2 this year. He has just been the model of consistency. He has been amazing through his career and his connection that he has had with Patrick Mahomes. That being said, we look at this offense and we take a look at all the changes that they have. They have the most vacated targets in the league. This is going to be a completely new look offense. They added Juju Smith-Schuster. They added MVS. We have, Ross. There's so many moving pieces in this offense. They also had Ronald Jones in their run game. So I think that we're going to see a completely different look in this Chiefs offense. It would not surprise me if this Chiefs offense struggled the first few weeks as they gained that chemistry, started working through those timing issues that it just is not there when you've played with a guy like Tyreek Hill for years, or you've played with Kelce for years. That being said, I think Kelce is going to be a favorite target of Mahomes because of that reason, but there's more weapons, there's more mouths to feed. The ball is going to be spread around a little bit more, in my opinion, this year. So I also have concerns with his age, and he has performed up to this point magnificently, but he is getting to a point where he's getting a little old. That being said, Andrews, on the other hand, has completely broken out. They traded Brown away. There's a lot of targets there as well, and he was already the favorite target. On top of it, having all those extra targets without the competition, I think Andrews is going to see a significant target share. And when I say significant, upwards of 30%, which is just astronomical for a tight end. And I think with that much opportunity, because I've said this time and time again, opportunity is king in fantasy football. So having that much opportunity with a quarterback who's mobile, who's going to create lanes, also with no other competition. You look at the depth chart, and it's, Duvernay is the wide receiver 2 right now behind Bateman. And so there's just not a lot of competition for targets. I think Andrews, for me, is going to be my tight end 1. Kelce's my tight end 2. And I'm not comfortable taking Kelce where he's going in drafts right now, especially in non-tight end premium leagues. Hope that answers your question, Jeff. Question 2 from Famous J. We have, how do you feel about the Singletary Cook and Penny Walker situations? I touched base on the Penny Walker situations briefly. So inside my fade list article, and in my fade list article, I mention Walker's name specifically. So Walker, I do believe, is one of the best pure runners in this draft class. That being said, he did struggle versus really good defenses in college. Seattle's offensive line, although they are getting better, is still it's not an ideal situation for a rookie running back. That being said, also, Penny always has injury concerns. But when Walker is going in round 5 of drafts, non-superflex is what I'm talking about, round 5, round 6 of drafts, and you can get Penny round 9, round 10 in some instances, I typically tend to lean towards the player who's going at the later in ADP, especially when he's already familiar with the system, he's already familiar with the coach, and he's already been utilized on this team. And you look back at the history with Pete Carroll and running backs, and you can't forget they drafted Penny in round 1 and they refused to use him. So I'm not entirely certain that they've drafted Walker in round 2 and they're just going to throw him into this or catapult him into this role of 50+% of the carries. I just don't think it's going to happen. So you also look at what Penny did down the stretch, and without having the numbers in front of me, it was like 640 yards the final 5 weeks with like 6 touchdowns. If you look at the total fantasy points, he was outperforming and outscoring Jonathan Taylor, who's now going as pick 101 in almost every single draft that you see. So, again, chemistry, familiarity, knows the coach, knows the offensive line to a certain degree because it's changing, already has familiarity with the system and the players. I lean Penny when you can get him later in drafts. So I hope that answers your question with Penny. Walker. Singletary, Cook, very similar situation here. Cook to me is not a player who is going to be able to handle 200 plus carries. He's electric. He's fast. Great pass catcher. I think that's what they drafted him for. I think they drafted him more as that change of pace back to give Singletary a breather, to make sure that they have another pass catcher in the back, because Moss is not the answer. Brady was not the answer last year. He's gone now anyways with the Giants. But that being said, Singletary was also very dynamic down the stretch. I'm going to pull it up so I have the exact numbers in front of me, but I believe he was like running back 10. I don't want to quote it. Let me pull it up. I have the numbers here in a second. Just give me 1 second. So let's go to PPR leagues. Where am I? I'm 3 picks away. Okay, PPR leagues. Let's go weeks like 13 through 18 and running backs. And Singletary was running back 3, weeks 13 through 18. So I was off. He was way higher than I thought. He was averaging 17 fantasy points per game. He had 102.1 fantasy points during that stretch, weeks 13 through 18. Only 2 running backs had more points than him. David Montgomery with 108.1, and then the name I named him earlier, Rashad Penny, 117.4 down that stretch. Penny averaged 19.6 fantasy points down the stretch. That's how good he was. Singletary, very similar. Came on hot down the end, averaged over 20 carries per game down the stretch. You look at his week 12, 15 attempts, 44 yards. Nothing to get crazy about, okay? But that's where he starts heating it up. 13, he gets 10 carries, 36 yards. Then you get in the week 14, 52 yards, but he gets 6 receptions, 7 targets. Then he gets into week 15. He gets 22 carries. I'm on the clock. 1 second. Take a look. Okay, there, I had to make my pick. Sorry. I think I was on week 15. Week 15, he gets 22 carries, 86 yards, and a score. He then gets another 10 yards in the air. Week 16, he gets 12 carries, 39 yards, and a score, but he gets 5 more targets for 5 receptions, 39 more yards in the air. Then you see week 17, 23 carries, 110 yards, and 2 scores. Then you have week 18, where he gets 19 carries, 88 yards, and 2 scores. And then he gets 24 more yards with 2 receptions and another score in the air. So he came on very hot down the stretch. And it's clear that they favored him over Moss. He gained the trust of this offense. This offense changed once they finally had a running back that was able to produce in this offense. So I don't think that goes away. I can see it being a 1A and then Cook maybe being a 1B, but I think he's more of the 2 in my opinion. And he's being overdrafted. Again, it's rookie fever. Everyone's doing dynasty drafts. All of us who are talking football right now are in dynasty leagues. So we tend to have a little bit more biasness towards the rookies. We like him a little bit more than the average Joe. I expect Singletary's ADP to rise as we get closer to August, because the masses will come out and they won't be favoring Cook as much as the early drafters will be. And we'll start to see Singletary's value start to rise in drafts. I also do think, though, that this is a situation to monitor. Both these situations are to monitor, because Penny already pulled a hamstring, or has hamstring issues already. And we all know Penny has injury concerns. So if Penny, is not able to play through camp or whatever it may be, if this becomes a lingering issue, all I'm saying is monitor the situation, because you want to make sure that if anything significant happens to either of these running backs, or camp news comes out and Walker's just not getting the offense, or Cook's not getting the offense, that's going to catapult Penny or Singletary up these draft boards. So make sure you're monitoring, make sure you're following them, and make sure that you are getting news on a daily basis that's going to be affecting your drafts. Because I'm now seeing Cook and Walker go ahead of Singletary and Penny. Yep, it is. It's happening. It's happening in almost every draft now. And I am loving it because I'm on the flip side. I prefer Singletary and Penny to both Walker and Cook. I think they'll both have a role, but I just don't see either of their roles going over 50% of the share, where I could see Singletary and Penny getting over 50%. So I will gladly take the discount, and I'll allow people to overdraft the rookies. All right, let's pull up the board. We haven't pulled up the board in a while. I've been talking Singletary, Cook, and Kelsey. I think we left at the end of 3 or the beginning of 3. So round 3, Lamb went, and then Dalvin Cook went. Kirk Cousins went for a 3-quarterback start for 9 route in the 3-hole. Joe Mixon, then Devontae Adams. Then we saw Jameis Winston go off the board as the first quarterback for the Big Chimay. Cosmos went for Net. I went Swift. Then we have Barkley went to the 3-hole. Went to the, is it 8, 9-hole? In the 3rd round. And then we have A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, and Chubb. Start the 4th, went Tyreek Hill. I'm on deck real quick. Again, any more questions, throw them in there. I'll get them answered as soon as I get a pickup and we run through this draft board again. All right. I'm going to throw my first quarterback in there in round 6. Okay. Next question we have. Let me pull the board up real quick. I see your question there, Jeff. Let me finish real quick. Round 4, the overview for the audio listeners. Tyreek Hill started off the 4th there to Navy Proud, who is now through round 6 without a quarterback. Alvin Kamara went next, and then we have Javonte Williams, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans. Then we have Aaron Jones. We have Andrews, we have Connor, Deontay Johnson, David Montgomery, Higgins, and then Akers. To start the 5th round off, Lance as the quarterback 2 for Team Taylor. Then Pittman went at the 5-2. Gibson, Tua, Metcalf. We have the Big Chimay taking Amari Cooper in the 5th. Then we have Jalen Waddle. We have DJ Moore to me for a little bit of a Week 17 correlation between Carolina and Tampa Bay. Then we have Kittle goes as the 3rd tight end off the board to Organized Chaos. And then we have Penna. Jose here takes Brown. Elliott as running back 19 at the 5-11. And then we have Kyle Pitts as the 4th tight end off the board, Navy Proud. Again, no quarterbacks through the 6th round for the 12-hole Navy Proud. Then he comes around in the 11-hole, takes Cooks. Then we go Godwin, Breece Hall. I took Fields, my first quarterback. Trevor Lawrence goes directly after, who I considered. Then we have McLaurin, Josh Jacobs, and Ryan Tannehill. So we now have 2 teams with 3 quarterbacks. 2 teams with 1, including myself, and 1 team with 0 quarterbacks so far, almost through 6 rounds. The next question we have from Jeff is, how about Breece Hall, Michael Carter may still get carries? This one's very interesting because there aren't a lot of backfields where we know exactly who the number 2 is. I mean, we know that this player is going to be involved or that player is going to be involved. And there are definitely some teams out there that we know exactly who the number 2 is. And when that happens, that number 2 running back is typically drafted higher than a lot of these dart throw number 2 running backs that we are typically targeting late in drafts. That being said, I think Carter, where he's going, I think is a little bit discounted from where I think he belongs. I'll take the discount, but Breece Hall is phenomenal. When I was reviewing his tape and I was looking at him and comparing him to past running backs, if you go to the YouTube channel here and go into the running back profiles for this rookie class that I have. It's a whole playlist dedicated to rookies. So we have the running back, wide receiver, tight end position, all in their dedicated rookie profiles. And I talk about Breece Hall. And when I was watching his tape, I was sold. When you people talked about how weak this draft class was. And I think they're wrong. Like, this draft class has a lot of talent in it. And I think people just heard somebody say that this draft class was so weak, and then it's, monkey see, monkey do, and everyone starts repeating it. Next thing you know, the entire NFL community is talking about how weak this class is. Now, in comparison to 2023, yes, it may be weaker, but Breece Hall is phenomenal. When I was looking at his tape, I was thinking, man, he's got a little AP in him. He's got a little Herschel Walker in him. And these aren't names that you just throw out there. Like, these are names that when you compare him to, like, that is a legit player. Like, that is a Hall of Fame type of player that you are comparing, but I'm comparing Breece Hall to. And the man has the power to run over people. He actually can catch the ball. Like, he is the complete package. He's a 3-down back. And that's why Michael Carter is slipping in drafts. It really is. But at the same time, though, they're not going to just throw Breece Hall out here 80, 90% of the carries. It's not like an Ezekiel Elliott rookie campaign. Like, they still have Michael Carter here, who showed capable when given the opportunities and healthy when on the field in 2021, and who is, in my opinion, a better pass catcher. So I think Carter still has a role in a Jets offense that is probably going to be playing from behind quite a bit this year. So I will take the discount on Carter, and he's going in non-SuperFlex drafts now as late as round 12. I've seen him go. So I will gladly take that discount. Of course, I want a lot of Breece Hall. Don't get me wrong. I favor Breece Hall in this 100%. Do not confuse that. But there's a place for both of them in drafts, and there's a time that you can draft them. And if you miss out on Hall, by all means, grab Carter. What happens with running backs? It's one of the most injury-prone positions. And when the money counts, weeks 15, 16, 17, who knows? Maybe it's Carter's chance to carry the rock. Maybe Breece Hall's out. And I'm not saying draft based upon a chance at injuries, but I'm just saying that there is a chance that it could happen. So I'm not drafting off injuries. I'm not recommending that. I'm not hoping for an injury. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm hoping here or saying. All I'm saying is that Carter's going to have a role. And you look at their shootout schedule. They have Detroit week 15. They have the Jaguars week 16. They have the Seahawks in week 17. That is the easiest strength of schedule for all running backs, or one of the top two. We had it pulled up earlier on the sheet inside the league. So, I mean, I love this shootout schedule, whether it's for the quarterback, whether it's for the wide receiver, whether it's for the running back, or even the tight end. Like, that is a money schedule for the money weeks. And so I'm drafting Breece Hall. I love his value because he's going later in drafts too. Not late by any means, but where he's going in drafts, I think, is based upon his role and what I'm expecting in his projections. I love where his ADP is. It would not surprise me if he climbs up boards. Famous Jay says, Eagles Eric Dickinson, let's go Jets. All right, I am on the clock. Give me a second. Let me take a look here. Make sure to see if I have any correlation. Just talked about the Jets. And I got 34 seconds. Giants, Washington, Vikings, Colts, and 22 seconds. I'll take my boy Jared Goff there so I can stack him with DeAndre Swift. And then I just talked about strength of schedule. You look at their schedules and they have the Jets, Panthers, and Bears. That gives me a week 17 correlation with Justin Fields as well. And what do I mean by correlation for those of you who have missed the podcast? When I talked about best ball roster construction and I talk about game correlations, or as I call them, mini stacks, this was a concept that has been out there. I did not create this concept, but I heard it and I loved it, and it won me a lot of money last year in best ball contests, where you take a DFS mindset and you build a roster based upon like a DFS mindset correlation come the shootout week. So of course you want it where the money counts the most. You want it in week 17, especially in larger format tournaments. And this one, we're looking at weeks 15, 16, 17. So you can take an accumulation of those weeks. So it's a little bit different of a mindset in this tournament versus other tournaments. But that being said, you want to take game approaches and say, hey, do I have a week 17 stack here? And I do with Chicago and Jared Goff. So make sure you take a look at game correlation, stack those games, whether you want to stack week 15 for whatever reason, if you want to stack week 16 for whatever reason, but I recommend stacking week 17, and that way you're getting the most possible outcome of points for the final week when it matters most. Again, though, this best ball tournament is weeks 15, 16, 17 for total points, so I'm looking at that as a whole in general, and when I look at my roster and I say, hey, Justin Fields has a pretty decent strength of schedule for those weeks, so Chicago is facing Eagles. The Bills kind of hurt, but Eagles, Bills, and Lions, that was more for the stack there. But you look at the Lions and have the Jets, Panthers, and Bears. That's a pretty good correlation. And like I said earlier, the Jets have a really good strength of schedule for the end with what I say earlier, Detroit, Jaguars, and Seahawks. So keep that in mind as you are drafting. Okay, I'm coming on deck here again. Let me give you a couple more minutes to take a look because was kind of caught on a short timer there as I wanted to look for stacks. So go ahead, load up the questions. I'm enjoying all the interactions tonight. I love answering questions. I love the interaction that we're having. So keep them coming, please. And let me take a look at my team. So right now I have a 2-2-3 build. So for those of you who do not know the format, it is SuperFlex, but we also start 3 wide receivers in this format. We start 2 running backs, 1 tight end. It's not tight end premium, so that's that. Okay. So I got a stack there of Swift and Goff. Eckler. I always forget who the Chargers play. Chargers are playing Titans, Colts, and Rams. No correlation there. Buccaneers play the... I know they play the Panthers week 17. So Tampa Bay has Bengals, Cardinals, and Panthers. Okay. All right. I think I know the direction I want to go. Just double check. Okay, took Bateman. And I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown to complete the stack and get me my 4th wide receiver. Okay. Gives me more of a stack there as well. All right, let me take a look at the questions, see if we have any more. No more questions. No more stalling for me. Just kidding. Let's take a look at the board. We haven't pulled the board up in a little bit. I think we ended in... I think we ended on Pitts. So beginning of round 6, Dobbins goes. So no, that's we talked about 6. Sorry, we went all the way through. I think we got to Jacob. So Ryan, then Sutton, Allen Robinson, ETN at the end of the 6th. So the beginning of the 7th round, Team Taylor takes Juju Smith-Schuster. Mike Williams goes the 7-2 to Resistance, who still only has 1 quarterback. And then 9 route goes Judy. Then we have Waller and Hawkinson. So Waller is the 5th tight end off the board. Hawkinson is the 6th tight end off the board. And then we have Elijah Moore as wide receiver 28 off the board. And Chimay only has 1 quarterback as well. Cosmos has Prescott and Lawrence. He has got his 2 quarterbacks. He selected Michael Thomas as wide receiver 29. I went back-to-back quarterbacks in round 6 and 7. And then, so I got Goff at pick 22, as quarterback 22. Darnell Mooney goes right after I take Goff. Yep, I'm going the right way, 7. Who I almost took to stack with Fields, but I wanted to get my quarterback. And then Goddard goes as tight end 7 to Jose. Ryan Tannehill for the 3rd quarterback for Team Fields. And then we get Elijah Mitchell, who's the 3rd running back for Navy Proud. Again, through the 7th round, he's got no quarterbacks, but decides to take Davis Mills, who's his 1st quarterback. And I love Davis Mills. I was hyping him up on Twitter today. He made my sleeper pick inside of my article for sleepers and busts. So Davis Mills is definitely a target of mine late in drafts, and at quarterback 24. I like where he's going in drafts. Schultz goes as tight end 8 here at the 2nd pick in round 8. Daniel Jones now as quarterback 27. 5, sorry, can't see, quarterback 25, and that's Jose's third quarterback. Organized Chaos takes Bateman as wide receiver 31. I take Amon-Ra St. Brown as my wide receiver 4, wide receiver 32 off the board. Thielen goes as wide receiver 33. Dylan goes there to Chmay as his third running back. And then we have Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins goes. Then Tyler Lockett and Zach Ertz. So not nearly as much red as we have seen in a lot of these drafts. Like I said earlier, I should not have maybe said my intentions because not everybody's going that route, but it's fine. Quarterback is being pushed down the board, which is what I want when I don't start quarterbacks inside of a SuperFlex draft. So it's interesting to see quarterback fall as far as it has fallen today. My son's coming in.
Guess what?
What's up, buddy?
My dino works.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool.
While he's in the trash can, I press the roar button, and then he roars. It's a roaring trash can.
Okay, buddy.
So when I press the roar button, it copies his roar.
You want to say hi? Come here.
Hi.
Say hi to everybody. Say hi.
Hi.
You can look right up here, okay?
Hi.
All right, the next question we have is, I am not submitting until I get him, but I love DeAndre Hopkins as he's a steal from week 7 on. Could have been a top 12 to 15 otherwise. Okay, buddy, go see mommy, okay? Love you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, dude. Yeah, I've been drafting a lot of DeAndre Hopkins as well, and especially in best ball, and in this tournament too. If you're able to make it to weeks 15, right, you get an extra week out of him versus some of these other sites that are week 13 is ending and you're playing inside the money weeks during bye weeks. So I think that DeAndre Hopkins is a steal, and when he comes back, he's going to be fresh, he's going to be healthy, and he's definitely a trusted target, especially in the red zone for this offense. So I think as well he's definitely discounted. I was hoping he would fall more in drafts, honestly, because people were scared he was going to miss a good chunk of the season, but he has not fallen as far as I was hoping he would fall, but I'm still drafting him at an ADP. He was a target of mine prior to the suspension as well. So a few teams that are going to be hurting where I have him in, round 2, or not round 2, round 3 is where he was going. So those teams are at a bit of a disadvantage, but now the discount I'll gladly take. Yeah, my son came in and said hi to everybody. Okay, so Zach Ertz said that Penny goes there. Someone's listening to me on Penny, and then Ayuk, and then Harris. Yeah, Liam definitely the MVP of the show. Much more pleasant to look at than this mug with the beard. Get some gray down here. But we have Harris now goes as running back 27. Zach Wilson is now quarterback 26 off the board, and Hunter Renfrow goes as wide receiver 37. Oh, man, that's a tough question, Roy. I think, is this fantasy my favorite fantasy player, or is this my favorite NFL player? If you want to specify, because those are two different answers. One's pretty close, though, actually. One could be both ways, but it's definitely, I'm definitely a little biased, so there is some red and gold in both those answers. So let me know if you mean NFL player just in general. Oh, my son's favorite player. Oh, that's easy. His favorite player is Debo, because I was always yelling about Debo in the season. So now he always talks about Debo. And it's so funny because we all know that, yeah, I don't care about cheers, he says. So we all know that I love Debo. But my son would sit there and he would watch football with me in the mornings. So I'm West Coast, so I'd make I'm on the clock 1 second, and I'll come back to the story. Okay, cool. Got 3 quarterbacks. I'm set. They all have question marks, but I'm set. Board's back up. So my routine on Sunday mornings is I wake up 6 o'clock Pacific time. I start doing my finalizing rankings for the Fantasy Pros accuracy contest, and I go through and start doing my tiers and getting one situated. I'm looking at news, inactive lists as they start coming out later, and trying to guess who's going to be active versus who's going to be inactive, and how's it going to, affect the running back situation or the wide receiver situation, who's moving up, who's moving down, the whole shebang. It's like this giant puzzle that you're trying to piece together on a weekly basis for the NFL. So I start by doing that. So that way I have a better understanding of what the week's going to look like. I then have finalized any roster moves that I have for in my season long leagues for the World Championship or any other leagues that I'm in dynasty leagues, whatever it may be. So long story short, I do that from like 6 to 10 a.m., nothing but grinding between leagues and rankings. And then like 9:59, I turn off my computer and I go to the kitchen, which you can see the TV from my kitchen, and I turn on the TV, I go to Red Zone, and I start cooking breakfast. And I usually cook a pretty big breakfast on Sundays. So, my kids love pancakes. So we're doing pancakes. We do bacon and scrambled eggs and then, so we get this giant feast going for the family, or if I'm not doing pancakes, potatoes, something. So all of us can sit around and I'm cooking and watching football, and I'm talking about Debo and talking about, oh, he was such a good value this year. And this was last year, of course, talking, oh, it's such a good value. And I loved where he's going to drafts. And next thing I know, I'm screaming because Debo's scoring a touchdown. And so my son's favorite player is Debo. Well, Debo got hurt, as we all know, towards the end of the season with that groin injury. And my son comes in and says, "Is Debo playing, Dad?" And I said, "No, Debo's hurt." And his first thing he says is, "Again?" So even he knows that Debo has some injury concerns. So, but yeah, his favorite player is Debo. My daughter's favorite player is also Debo. I think it just rubs off on them because Dad's favorite player is Debo. So fantasy player, at least. My favorite NFL player is probably George Kittle, just because he's a giant man-child. Just like he's so much fun. Like his energy on and off the field to me, and that's that current NFL player, my favorite. But just has so much energy that I just love watching him play, and I love like him during interviews and outside of the football field. And I just think that George Kittle's an amazing person and one of my favorite people to watch play. All right, enough about the Niners and me cooking breakfast. I am in the hole coming up, so let me take a look and see who is available. Quarterbacks can go away now. All right, let's take a look at this team. And I'm on deck. Right now I have a 3-2-4 build going on. Let me take a look at the tight ends available. Okay. There's tight end still there. Wide receivers are still there. Running backs. Okay. A couple of names I like either way. So depending upon what Organized Chaos does, I'm hoping he does not take a certain player, but we shall see. Famous J says, Debo will be great again. Debo just wants to make sure he's being paid as the wide receiver instead of a running back. I think that's a very good point. But as much as I like Debo, and as much, he took Treylon Burks. I was really hoping for Treylon Burks. As much as I like Debo, and as much as I think that he changed this offense, I do have long-term concerns about his health. And I know part of that was also because he was playing a hybrid role, but this was his first year really that he played a significant amount of time. And so I think that he is a fantastic player, and I think that he plays well inside that hybrid role. And I don't think that he will put up the fantasy points that he had last year. I think that's going to be hard to repeat just in general. But I don't think that he has the season, that season again this year, if he doesn't play that hybrid role. Like as just a traditional wide receiver, I don't think that he's able to put up those numbers. But if he is, open to playing the position and he just wants to be paid, okay, that's a different story. But reports are that he doesn't like the hybrid role, and I think that changes everything for this Niners offense, as well as Deebo Samuel as a fantasy player. And hence why I'm not drafting a lot of him in round 2 in drafts. All right, Scott. Yep, everybody hit the like button. Helps us get the YouTube algorithm. Also, hit that subscribe button. Helps us grow the channel. Helps us grow the brand. Really appreciate all the support and everybody tuning in. So let's take a look. I'm going to look through my team real quick. So Wentz, Goff, and Justin Fields. Not the prettiest three, but I didn't take my first one until, was it round 6? Yep, round 6, Justin Fields. So I started off with Jefferson, Eckler, Swift, Evans, and DJ Moore. So that's a pretty dangerous 5 right there that I think. Navy Proud got behind the 8 ball, it looks like, a little bit at quarterback. I know he took Davis Mills, but if Trubisky's able to be serviceable, this team could be pretty darn deadly. So I'm curious to see how this one works out in the season. I wanted to push it another round. I almost did, but I got a little gun shy and took Fields in 6. Let's look at overall roster. So we have one team, two with 2 still, one team with 3, 2 teams with 3, 3 teams with 3, 4, 5, 6. So half of the board has 3 quarterbacks. Navy Proud still has 2. Chimay has 2. Explicit has 2. Resistance has 2. And Team Taylor has 2. How about wide receivers? 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody with less than 3 or 4 right now? Explicit only has 3 wide receivers, so he just now filled his wide receiver 3 spot. Again, reminder, we start 3 wide receivers here at the FFWC, not 2. So he just filled his 3rd wide receiver spot. He's got 2 tight ends already, 2 running backs, so he's got his running back spots filled. I'm curious, everybody, what are some of your favorite builds when you're building best ball? I know some of mine, but who in here, let's get a show of hands. You can just, I guess, just say me or something, but how many of you are running back, or like heavy running back drafters? Are you doing anchor running back, or are you going to go robust running back? Or how many 0 wide receiver builders in here? Just shout it out in the chat. I want to just see how many we have. We're already past the point where it's really going to matter for drafts, so you're not hiding anything. Any other questions, everybody? Come on, Roy. I know you got some questions. Kev, come on, Kevin. Throw some questions out there, buddy. All right, let me pull up. Reminder while we have everybody in here. Again, we have the May Madness last date is going to be the 31st. And for May Madness, it is your last chance to secure the deepest discount at the FFWC for your World Championship teams. All you need to do is throw your deposit in, and you're able to secure that discount through drafting season. It also helps us know how many teams are playing and helps us kind of manage the league a little bit more, or the season more. There's only 600 teams, a hard cap this year at the FFWC World Championship. 600 teams for a grand prize of $150,000. The only site inside the nation where you can win $10,000 in league prizes. Yes, that's right. $10,000 in league prizes. That's called a Dominator. So if you have the most points or the most points and the best record, not or, and, so the best points and the best record, then you are crowned the Dominator. And there's no playoffs. You automatically win the league and you go into the championship rounds. But it's a $10,000 payout. I was blessed enough to hit one of those last year. Just missed 2 by, fractions. I think one was less than a half point. One was like 1.5 points. So I'm coming back for a vengeance this year. I want to try to get at least 3 or 4. That'd be fantastic this year. Dominators, and, line those pockets a little bit more. And then you're facing off for 600 teams for the 150 grand for the champion. So lots of good prizes at the FFWC. We definitely focus more on league prizes, which I love as an ROI player, someone who's going to be looking for more return on their investment and not just shooting for the money up top. It's one of the best places to play for ROI. So if you have any questions in regards to payout structures or any questions in regards to building bankroll, feel free to message me on Twitter. Be more than happy to answer those. Okay, Jeff's the wide receiver guy. Famous J is an anchor, hero, running back drafter. I tend to favor that draft as well. Yellow sticker guy with a quarterback stack here. Love it. Love it. Lots of good teams here. Team 1 and 9 look good. Yeah, we'll take a look at those in just a second. And Abe has a question here. Are you worried about Burke's conditioning issues at OTAs? No, I'm not. Two parts here. One, like he was being flown all over the country, eating in planes and dining with owners and people trying to get to know him. And we see it every year where players come in and they're a little out of shape because they've been eating so well during the draft process that they've gained a little bit of weight or what it may be. But it's momentarily they usually get over it. But the reason I'm also not concerned is just based upon the vacated targets too. Like he's going to get in shape. That's not a question here. It's mini camps. There's nothing to talk about. Everything's blown in proportion. Hold up. I'm on the clock. 3, 3, 2. So it's mini camp. There's not as much to talk about. They're literally trying to get anything they can out to the public. And so Burks has a little bit of a conditioning problem. They're going to report everything they can. Oh, first round pick, Treylon Burks he's not in shape. He's not going to be able to perform this year. And it's just one of those talking points. Like this time of year, just try to sift through the bullshit, right? Just put in the back of your mind and say, hey, I'm going to just check back in a few weeks and see how it's going. Or I'm going to check back in a month and see how it's going. I guarantee you he's going to get in shape. He's going to be fine. It's just a little bit of that draft lull and good food from talking with owners. So I am not worried about his conditioning. Plus, I mentioned his vacated targets. I'm going to pull up the number because I have it on here on the article. So if you head on over to fulltimefantasy.com, on the left-hand side, about 3/4 of the way down, there's a little chart down there called the vacated target chart. And you can go through and organize it, or you take a look at it. It's alphabetical right now, but you can see exactly how many teams have vacated targets. It's organized by position. So you can look at a total of total vacated targets. It has vacated target percentage, which is like the total target share for that team. It has vacated air yards as well. It's got it by position. So the running back vacated targets, the running back vacated target share. It's got the wide receiver vacated targets, the wide receiver share, and the vacated air yards for receivers. I didn't put the air yards for running backs because it's like -2 or like 3, or it's so minuscule it doesn't even matter. But the air yards for receivers definitely matters. And then it's you have tight end is in there as well with total targets or total vacated targets, as well as total vacated target share and total tight end vacated air yards. Like I was saying, the Titans have the second most vacated targets in the league. 336 vacated targets. This is from a team that doesn't throw the ball a lot. This is a run-first team. So 336 vacated targets on a run-first team is a lot. How much, to be exact? 64.24% of the team's total target share is up for grabs. That's a shit ton. I mean, it's nearly... you're talking about almost 3/4 of all of the team's target share available and up for grabs. At the wide receiver position alone, 220 vacated targets. So even if his conditioning is behind, and let's just say that it lingers longer than it should, he's still going to be catapulted into a wide receiver 1 type share, not fantasy points, but a wide receiver 1 type share where he's seeing upwards of 20 to 23+% of targets on this team. So I have no concerns with Treylon Burks right now. And I didn't even really like his tape that much. He was actually like my wide receiver 4 or 5 going into the draft. And then after the draft, I moved him up to, I think, number 2 behind London. So that just tells you, or just shows you, that I'm not too concerned with his conditioning or what's going to happen, just based upon opportunity. All right, I am on deck again. So let me pick, and then there's a lot more questions in here, and I'm going to be touching on those in a second. I got 5 wide receivers already. Let's go ahead and get, yeah, I think I'm going to do it. Yeah, let's just draft I took them off. Gosh darn it. Cole Kmet finishes that stack as well. Scott says 19 watching, only 4 likes. You got this guy's close to the chat. He wants to see the thumbs up. Let's go. Thumbs up, everybody. Give me some help in here. Anthony says 50-50 running. Oh, he's a 50. He goes balanced build here for his running back and wide receivers. He likes to have his running back 1 and 2 in the first 3 rounds, then attack wide receiver for the next 3 and 4. That's anchor, double anchor, or however you want to call it. So that's anchor running back build in my opinion. Up to 12. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. So Anthony brings up a good point. Last year, and I loved this because Chase was just a freak show. I loved his talent. Loved him coming out of college. And you look back at the comments from OTAs, and this is the perfect example. So thank you for bringing this up, Anthony. Is Chase can't catch a football, and the joke was, oh, it's because it doesn't have stripes on it, right? Where now you look back and it was just complete BS. Like he had that monstrous rookie campaign is going in the first round now, but he was slipping in drafts after that. Like he slipped 2 rounds because people were scared to draft him because they were worried that Jamar Chase, of all people, couldn't catch a football. So I'm not too concerned about Treylon Burks and his conditioning. So thank you for bringing up that example. That's a perfect example of why you should just kind of, disregard the mini camp noise and even training camp noise. And as we get into camp in general, just kind of learn to sift out the noise from what's real. Try to follow the beat writers as much as you can. Try to read and watch as much as you can, and try to decipher the BS from what's actually happening. Jose said, I would love to do a 0 running back build, but I can never actually do it when I'm in the draft. Oh, you just got to, get the cojones and just got to do it, man. You just got to commit to it, right? You just have to know that if you are not a 0 running back builder, and I'm not all the time. I tend to favor running backs. So, that's why I was, number 3 running back ranker in the Fantasy Pros contest last year. I love running backs. But when you look at builds, you have to get creative at times, and you have to go outside your comfort zone. And there's going to be times that you are uncomfortable in a draft room, but that's when you get unique. That's when you go against the grain, and that's when you're able to build teams that you aren't normally building and create something unique for yourself as well as a tournament. So just kind of, bite it, just dig in and just make sure that you embrace it. So embrace the madness, Jose. Abe says, I've seen people in Dynasty trading Chase last year after the drops. That's hilarious. Hope you were able to capitalize on that. That would be phenomenal. So if you were able to get him for cheap. Benjamin says, Navy here, Aljon QBs. Yeah, sometimes it happens. I mean, you can push it pretty far, and I wanted to push it far this time too. I didn't go as far as I was hoping to, so I didn't take my own advice there, Jose. I kind of got a little scared as well. I wanted to push it a little bit further, and I didn't. But sometimes there's a run, and especially in a SuperFlex league, it can sneak up on you. So Jose says Sean's work on 0 running back is interesting, but I just can't yet. Yeah, there's a time and a place for it, right? You don't want to go into a draft and knowing that there's other 0 running back drafters in there. That's not the place for it. But if you're going into a draft and you know that there are folks in there who favor running backs, like that's the place you want to draft as a running back team, where you're able to really get value at wide receiver position because people are still drafting the green. So just know your time and place, and then make sure that you execute it properly. Famous Chase says, how many rounds do you go before picking a running back in a 0 build? This is a great question, and I think it varies. This varies greatly depending upon the format. Like if you're in a 3 wide receiver build, like the FFWC, for instance, we are 3 wide receiver start league. And in the World Championship, you also start 2 flex positions. So you can start 5 wide receivers at the FFWC. I am not afraid to go 6 rounds plus without drafting a running back in a 0 running back build. I'm fine taking if I'm doing that, I'm fine taking, if I'm doing full 0 running back, I'm fine taking a upper tier quarterback that I'm normally not doing, but like someone like a Lamar or a Justin Herbert or, someone in that range that has weekly upside to be a top 3 quarterback. 1 second. I'm on the clock again. Oh, you guys cleaned up running back. Okay. Let's go DJ Chark, finish the stack. Might as well lean into it. Kev reconfirms that 5 to 6. Yep. If you're in a 2 wide receiver league, I think it's more 5, but if it's 3 wide receiver league, I think 6 is the way I'd lean. You could go 7 if you want to draft a quarterback as well, but I usually like to grab my first running back at that 6-7 range, depending upon the format. But I'm fine pushing it further too, if need be, especially this year when you look at the value of running back and you can get somebody like Miles Sanders late in drafts. You can get somebody like Tony Pollard, of course, later in drafts. You can get somebody like, let me look at the board, throw some names out there instead of just off the top of my head. You can get somebody like Devin Singletary late in drafts this year, Chase Edmonds late in drafts. You can get somebody like Kareem Hunt late in drafts, Penny late in drafts. There's so many different targets this year that have legit upside as a running back 1, or at the very least a running back 2 upside. So I'm more than normal. I've been finding myself pushing running back this year. But again, like I said earlier, I like to typically go anchor running back. So I did 2 this time, Eckler and Swift, with the PPR weight. But normally I can draft 1 and then skip it. But if you're going traditional 0 running back, 5, 6, 7 rounds is not out of the question. Benjamin said you killed me with Goff. That's funny because I said, you know what? I might pass him here because he might make it back. But then I looked at my team and I said, no, I like the stack and I'm going to be able to stack it more on the way back. So I've been touting Goff so much. So now I'm really happy I took him because I almost pushed it. And if I hadn't, you would have taken him. So I'm happy. So sorry to have ruined your hopes and dreams, but it worked for my build. Yep, you wanted Goff and Mills. Those were my 2 on the last podcast we did for the quarterbacks. So love those 2, especially late in drafts. I like Mills as well. Talking of, I did the tweet today about Mills, talking about where he finished in statistics, and I really think he does take that step forward. I mean, this defense is probably going to be below average again this year, bad, and the offensive line is going to be improved. He's got improved weapons. He had a really good deep ball last year. I mean, he slung the rock last year, and we look at 2023's draft class, and he knows he's got heat, right? He's looking over his shoulder at 2023 draft class saying, I have to compete this year. My job is on the line. And when someone has that much desire, that much to lose, I should say, he's got everything in the world to play for, literally everything in the world. So I think he's going to come out there. He's going to leave nothing on the table, and he's going to continue to put his heart and soul into these drafts. So I'm really excited about him this year. All right, I'm on the clock again. Let me take a look here. And I got my 6 wide receivers. $22 seconds. I'm going to take Tim Patrick here. I don't own a lot of them. Kev says Cook's Miller stack is money. Yep, I like throwing Mechie into that equation later too in drafts. It's a really good addition. Hold on 1 second. My work is messaging me. Okay. And let's pull the board up. We haven't pulled the board up in a little bit. I don't remember where we left off, so let's just start in round 10. So Drew Lock was, let's start around 11. Knox started around 11, and then we went Scott Moore, Jacoby Myers, Gordon, Claypool, Wilson, Patterson, Russell, Gage I took. Then Rashad White, Stevenson went, and then Higbee and Allen Lazard. I liked Allen Lazard, their pick. And then he stacked them with Watson as well. And then Michael Carter went there at the beginning of round 12. Moore, Laundry. I took Kmet for my stack with Goff, Gallup, Jones, Hines, Gronkowski, Parker, Pierce, and Cook. And then Galladay starts off round 13. Then Madison, Freiermuth, Henderson, Njoku, Williams, Boyd, Chark, Fant. I can't say this guy's name, so I call him AOK, Robinson, and Ingram. And then we have Pickett, MVS, Will Fuller, Corey Davis. I took Patrick. Palmer goes, then Tunyon, and then Gainwell, who I actually thought about taking there in place of Patrick. So good pick on the Gainwell pick. Okay, Famous J has a question here. Spiller or Madison? I lean Madison on this. I was not crazy about Spiller. He had a really good college career, but he looks slow to me on tape. His footwork is really good. That's where I think he might be okay. But with that size and speed concerns me. So I think the fit is well with the Chargers. And if Eckler goes down, I mean, he's going to be, I think, definitely the one that's going to slide in. He's going to be the number 2 in this offense, hands down. But I just have concerns about him adapting or adjusting to the NFL and the speed that the NFL plays at. I think that's what's going to kind of hinder his growth and maybe his development in the NFL. So I have a lot of concerns with Spiller, where Madison has shown capable. He's done it. Every time that Cook misses time, Madison's like a top 5 running back. So if you're drafting cuff versus cuff, I'm going to go with a more proven commodity and the one who's actually shown it in the NFL, and I'm going to choose Madison. But I'm a little biased because I was not a fan of Spiller's tape. Abe says the Lions O-line have Frank Ragnow back this year, top 5 center. Oh, absolutely. And I think they were like number 13 last year in PFF, if I recall right. Jody and I were researching this and talking about the offensive line, and so number 13 and get one of the best centers in the NFL back. I think that this team is going to be surprise people this year. The Lions have a sneaky good team. I mean, we have DeAndre Swift back from injury, Hawkinson back from injury. Jameson Williams is coming off his ACL college injury, but is a very dynamic player. DJ Chark is coming off injury, but has shown his speed and his height have definitely proved to be very useful in the NFL, and has definitely flashed the talent that we had hoped DJ Chark would be. On top of it, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, so there's a lot of weapons on this offense. And Goff had some really good games last year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it was three in the top 10 or 12 finishes in the quarterback for different weeks in the fantasy season. So he's definitely shown that he can flash still at times, and with the improved offensive line and the improved weapons, I think that the Lions may surprise people this year. Kev says he likes the Patrick pick. He's been reaching a bit to get plenty of him. Yeah, I don't own a lot of them. I've been wanting to add more of them. I definitely have a few shares, but I've been wanting to get more and more. So this was one of those drafts I told myself I wanted to get them. So made sure to reach in a little bit and take them. I'm not sure if it's quite a reach there, but it may be a little bit. But I like Patrick as well. I think, again, without pulling up statistics, he was like top 10 or 11 in separation in all wide receivers in the NFL. So he's shown that he has, the ability to get open and the ability to be a trusted target for whoever's throwing the ball, because this is the best quarterback he's had in his career. So Patrick should have a pretty damn good year. All right, let's take a look at the board, because I'm on deck again. And I have, like I said, a 3-3-7-1 build going here. Let me take a look at tight ends. Logan Thomas Everett. I'm on the clock now. Take a look at running backs. Okay, this one. And I'm going to take Gerald Everett on this one. Get my second tight end there. It gives me at least another player on the Chargers with Austin Eckler. And the Chargers are facing Titans, Colts, and Rams down the stretch, which I don't have a lot of correlation outside those two. So I'm just hoping for a pretty good target distribution for Everett here this year on this offense. All right, we're nearing the final quarter of the draft. We're going to be turning the corner here into round 16. So for those of you who have hung around, I appreciate it. And really happy we filled this draft. It's been a pleasure to answer questions as well. Okay, pull the board back up. Seen a little bit of a tight end run now. What have we seen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, is that 10 or 11? 10 or 11 tight ends go in the last 3 rounds. And we've had definitely, of course, wide receivers. So now Navy Proud here is now just grasping, lunging out, trying to find any quarterback with a pulse now to fill this roster. So he's got 4 now: Mills, Trubisky, Pickett, and Mayfield. That is the ugly bunch there. But if you're able to pull it off, man, the rest of the roster is looking pretty good up top. So okay, we got on deck again. Let me take a look here. I don't want to say who I want because organized chaos might snipe me. He took LaVisca. I'm going to take David Bell. I love David Bell's tape. I might be exaggerating here, but David Bell had such good feet. Kept saying that he reminded me of Jerry Rice's footwork. He wasn't that fast, but just such amazing footwork that he was always open. And watching David Bell just seemed to always be in the right place at the right time, have separation versus people. So really like David Bell's tape. Really hoping he has a pretty big rookie year. Benjamin says, "Ouch" for his quarterback room. Okay, we got the final 3 rounds. Final 3 rounds are approaching here, so let's take a look at builds. Scott said earlier that he liked team 1 and 9. Let's take a look at Team Taylor. So Team Taylor started with Allen and Diggs stack. I love that stack. He gets Lamb, Akers, and Trey Lance. So another really high upside quarterback pick here. He only has 2 quarterbacks, 3 if you count Locke. He gets Travis Etienne, Juju Smith-Schuster, Brandon Ayuk, and Harris. I'm liking this team so far too. I already mentioned Locke. He gets Knox in the 11-1. He gets Cook, so he continues the Buffalo stack. I really like it. Galladay, Pierce, and Henry. I really do like that team. He mentioned that he liked number 9 as well. Okay. Burrow, Wilson, Barkley, Deebo Samuel, Kittle, Hall, Mooney, Bateman. Oh, I like this draft as well. Mariota, Traylon Burks, White, Laundry, Fant, Davis, Algier, and Chenault. I like that build as well. I like a lot of these teams in here right now. A lot of good drafters tonight, guys. Loving the teams. Let's take a look at resistance. Okay, Jeff says he likes Team 5. Let's take a look at Jeff's team. Okay, so we have Jackson, Brady, Adams, Connor, Metcalf, Jacobs. I'm just not a Jacobs fan, so that dings you. Hawkinson, Hopkins. Okay, I like the draft a lot, except for the Jacobs pick. Like, I would draft Miles Sanders above Jacobs. That's how much I don't like Josh Jacobs. Kadarius Toney, Claypool, Hines, Njoku, Gainwell, Hardman, and Edwards. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have your 6 running backs already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receivers. You have 2 tight ends and your 2 quarterbacks, but 2 stud quarterbacks. So overall, I like the draft. I'm not crazy about Josh Jacobs. I'll say it again, but I probably would prefer a wide receiver there. Take a look. Cosmos has Prescott, Kelsey, Fournette, Aaron Jones, Waddle, Lawrence. Okay, gets his quarterback 2. Michael Thomas, Thielen. Then he gets three running backs, Singletary, Edwards, Patterson, and then paints it yellow. He got Gallup, Boyd, Palmer, Jones, and Van Jefferson. Okay. Let's take a look at, I'll do mine later. Organized Chaos has Burrow, Wilson. Abe says he loves Bell too. Great. I love him. Outstanding. Organized Chaos got Burrow, Wilson, Barkley, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Hall, Mooney, Bateman. Oh, this is 9. We already did this team, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Okay. Jose has Hurts, Murray, Brown, Javonte, Williams, Brown, Godwin. I don't know what to think of Godwin. I just don't know how much he's going to play this year. If he is able to play and come off that injury faster than we're anticipating, that's a steal of a pick. But if he's not and he starts the season on the PUP or IR, I mean, that we just don't know. I just don't know what to do with Godwin this year. And I've been fading him. I've been drafting him, but only at a certain point. Goddard, Jones, Davis, Walker, Stevenson, Moore, Albert OK, Fuller, Robinson, Dotson. I like this team a lot more than the last one you did, Jose. I think this one I like the tight ends you got and where you got Albert OK especially. And I love the wide receiver upside picks. Okay, I'm on deck. Let me take a look here. Okay, I'm on the clock now. I'm going to go ahead and take me some Hayden Hurst and take my final tight end. Gives me my third tight end. Scott says, look at the blue block in the bottom left. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of tight ends went off the board. There was some really good value here late in drafts. Seems to be kind of the consensus so far with these early Superflex drafts is the tight end has been pushed down the board pretty far with only having to start one and no premium as people continue to load up on quarterback and wide receivers early. So there seems to be that rounds 14 through 17 range, you can get some pretty darn good tight ends. Ritter goes off the board. I like the cuff stack that you did there. You guarantee yourself that third quarterback spot. I've been testing that out in non-Superflex even as like a late in drafts, just taking that really late just as a dart throw to see how that pans out. So it's especially in redraft leagues, so where you can actually replace that position if need be. So I like that play. Okay, final 3 rounds are here, 18, 19, 20. Let's close it out, boys. Oh, you sniped me, so we're even. I was going to take Darrell Williams, so we're even now. I got your quarterback, and you got my running back. Navy proud. Gosh darn you. Okay, DPJ, Crowder, go. Let me take a look here. So Roy says 22 was the previous low for quarterback in the first 5 rounds, only 18 tonight. So we crushed the record. Everybody pushed it tonight. All right. Good. My guys outside Darrell being sniped. My other guys are still here. Come on, Organized Chaos. Pick. I get antsy when I'm on deck. All right, so I'm sitting at 3383 right now. Brian Edwards, okay. This guy's buried down here. He should. Tyrion Davis Price. Boom. That's my red and gold bleeding through right there. But I like where he's going to drafts. Took him in the 3rd round of drafts. I think he definitely is going to see some playing time this year. I would not be surprised to see, around 35-40% of the playing time. So round 18, I'll take that in a best ball. So I think he, especially if Elijah Mitchell gets hurt, I think Price will see the field quite a bit. I know that Trey Sermon is not the answer. Trey Sermon looked like a stiff board last year running the ball. So I think that Price should have some significant playing time. All right, they're getting around the last 2 rounds. Shoot your last questions. Speak now or forever hold your peace. This is your time. One-on-one, questions answered. We're drafting. We're still drinking beer. I saw somebody was drinking scotch, they said earlier. Is that... I think that's what they said inside the chat, inside the league. Oh, that's a good question. I love this question. Roy says, do you put much stock in bye weeks in best ball drafts? Not as much as I would in redraft. So best ball, I'm even fine taking an L that week if I have to. Like, it's just going to be my low scoring week. And there's even some debate about, and I have not done the math on this. So, but there is debate about, loading up on bye weeks. So that way it is all 1 week and you're maximizing your points in other out weeks. I have not done the math and seeing in past years if that is a viable strategy or not, but I do not take bye weeks too much into consideration. Now, if I'm on a site, like I know there's some other sites that have money weeks and bye weeks on the same weeks, and I then will really look at bye weeks because I do not want a bye week if the money's on the line. But luckily, FFWC, there are no bye weeks when the money's on the line, so I'm not as concerned with it as I am versus redraft. Because like redraft, like you don't want to have your kicker, your defense, and your quarterback all on the bye the same week, because now you're having to drop 3 positions right simultaneously. Like that's when I look at and say, hey, I don't want to have all 3 of those guys on the same bye week. So not as much. That's not best ball related. So that's more redraft. But I just much more mindful of it when it counts for having to drop players and pick them up. Jeff says, last I checked, Darnold still starting quarterback, although not sure he will be weeks 10, 11 when my quarterbacks are on bye. Yeah, I think I just don't have a lot of faith in Darnold either. So there's a lot of different ways for him to lose his job. And so I think he's going to be, I think you hit the hammer on the nail. He's going to be more that first half quarterback that you might need. But who knows? Maybe he will continue his streak that he had at the beginning of the year and he's hot and he doesn't fall apart. But I don't have the faith in Darnold like that. Yep. Kev says just watch buys with the quarterbacks. I agree with that. So I have 2 on the same buy here, but I have my 3rd here. So as long as Goff is healthy, I'll be okay. But again, it's week 14. It's not the money, so I'm not too concerned about it. Yeah, week 14 is very rough. There's so many buys this year in week 14. So quarterback and tight end on buy, watch as well. Yep, I think that you just have to just be mindful of it. All right, Team Taylor, round 19. Let's close it out. He's stuck. He took Sammy Watkins. Doesn't know what to do now. Who do I pick? Darnold playing with ghosts. He's still got Adam Gase nightmares. That's what it is. Like he's just so scared of Adam Gase that it's just ruining his career. All right, let's pull up the board, see what it looks like the final 2 rounds. Just make sure my guys are still in here. Resistance just took one of them. Getting a little thin, not going to lie. I'm going to go down here real deep. Okay, that's a little too deep. Okay, I'm going to take a look at, I'm coming up here. I got to take a look at the players and look at the boards pulled back up. 5 seats left in the slow draft, which is number 5. So if you want to join a slow draft, go ahead and hop in there. That thing will start once it's filled. And I'm impressed with how fast people draft these things lately. I mean, we went through like 6 rounds the other day in a slow draft. It was impressive. Okay. Yep, cruising along. I agree. Well, before we wrap up here, guys, if you have not done so, please subscribe over at Full Time Fantasy. We are putting out content daily. We're getting our draft kit ready as well, which is going to feature articles from myself, from Jody, as well as rankings and projections from myself and Jody. Jody, like I said, is one of the most accurate rankers in the industry for the last 5-6 years. I was the number 3 running back ranker in the industry last year. So you can count on me for running backs. And then you're going to get, live testimonials from some of the best players in the world in those draft kits as well. Also, that strength of schedule tool that I showed you earlier. Let me just get my guy real quick. Strength of schedule tool earlier that I showed you guys is a very good tool to be able to utilize on the fly while drafting, to see matchups and to make sure that you are not stacking teams that are going to have some really tough matchups down the stretch. It shows you the whole season as well. And then, of course, we're, the YouTube feed is right there on the channel as well. And then if you have not done so already, make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, helps the algorithm, helps us build the brand, helps us grow. Turn on notifications to see when we go live. We also post messages in Discord, so make sure that you are in Discord as well to get those notifications. And then just keep your eyes peeled. We have a partnership being announced sometime in the near future for the FFWC, which is very exciting. It's just a little teaser. I'm not going to give you much more than that, but keep your eyes peeled for that announcement that's going to be going out shortly. A lot of big, exciting news here at the FFWC and Full-Time Fantasy. If you have not noticed, we've moved a lot of stuff in the draft rooms. We've cleaned up a lot of the player pools. I mean, like the Q buttons and the players' names. And the search bar today was moved over here above the free agents list. So that's a nice hand tool. And on mobile, it's even handier because it's right there above and it's really clean and easy. So really like that as well. Okay, I'm on the clock. Give me a second. Where is he at? Where's he at? I've been wanting to draft this guy. I told myself, there he is. Boom. That's my first share, actually. I've been doing research on him and looking at everything I've said about this team, the vacated targets they have, and Derrick Henry on my fade list. I have to start adding Dontre Hilliard more. So I want to make sure that I get him in drafts, and he could be a difference maker. We shall see. Thank you, Roy. Yep, I flew solo tonight. We were able to fill the room. We filled it fast. I think we had 5 spots left with like under an hour to go. So I'm very impressed we were able to fill it. So thanks, everybody, for joining. We are down to the final few draft picks. So I want to just tell everybody thank you. Let me remove this so you can actually remove the brand so you can see the bottom of the board. So thanks again for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys and your interactions tonight. Really appreciate all of the questions, all of your engagement. Make sure to get you those May Madness reservations in. Again, you have to the 31st. And lock those in for your deepest discount of the year. I'll see you all back here. I'm going to have a show over the weekend. I don't know the date yet. It's going to be Sunday or Monday. I'm waiting on the guest to respond. But that guest coming on is going to be the Dynasty King himself, Austin Martin, one of the best Dynasty players in the world. Is going to be joining the show. We're going to be talking rookies. We're going to be talking Dynasty strategy. We're going to be talking process. So if you are a Dynasty player and you want to increase your bottom line, have a better ROI in Dynasty leagues, it's going to be a must watch. Yes, it's on a holiday weekend. I apologize, but it was the best time for him to be able to join. And like I said, he's one of the best Dynasty minds in the world with some of the greatest returns in the world. So make sure to tune into that. We will see you all back here, everybody. Have a safe Memorial Day weekend. Drive safe. Have fun with the family. Talk to you soon.
Nothing but time, use it to grind. They huff and they puff it, this bacon is mine. Stakes are all high, your stakes are so